It's Offside with Hawes and McGuire.
All right, welcome to Offside with Hawes and McGuire. I'm Hawes.
I'm McGuire.
All right, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We have the NHL.
Mine's a twist off today, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Happy Canada Day to you. Post Canada Day.
Yes. Yes, and happy Canada Day to you. And happy 4th of July for all of our American friend who will watch this.
Yes. We really value your support.
Exactly, the one guy. So we're going to talk about the NHL Awards. That's the first thing we're going to discuss. NHL Awards.
And we're done.
Yeah, exactly. No surprises at all. First of all, I think we should discuss that they had it in Nashville, which is a party town.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Nashville?
I have not.
You've not?
I have not.
Oh.
No, it's on my bucket list, which sadly is lengthy. But I've never been. I hear great things about it. I think you're a guy.
Yes.
You are
I
a guy.
do identify as a guy.
He is a guy who is familiar with the entertainment genre.
Yes.
And if you could answer this for me, I would love to know why the NHL wants to put the square peg in the round hole every year and try and turn the awards show into a half comedy, half musical, half hockey players who are not conditioned to speak lucid on a microphone typically.
Especially when they're pinned.
Well, most of them have been going probably hard all day. I don't know if it'll ever be like, who was the guy?
Well, you know what?
The Red Wing there who came up in in Vegas there with no shoes on. That was hilarious. What the hell is that all about,
So
Chris?
everyone's trying to make it you know what I mean, the greatest, they're going to make this a great celebration, going to do this. And what they've got to do is they got to stick with what brought them.
Yeah.
You dance with the one that brought you. And you know what? Years ago, I don't know if you remember the comic Jay Moore.
Oh, of course.
Okay, Jay Moore.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's a sports guy.
Yeah.
And he did a
He's
lot.
a regular on the Jim Rome show.
Well, and he actually entertained and hosted the NHL Awards for a few years.
Yeah, he did, hey?
And he did a great job.
Yeah.
He did a great job. But, you can't do it forever, right? So you got to bring somebody else in. And then they start going in all these different directions. But at the end of the day, they're trying to recreate the Academy Awards, and they're trying to do this. And let's face it, hockey players are not demonstrative people as a general rule.
No.
You got a few guys. You got your PK Subban.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Jeremy Roenick was, those guys just in history, but they're few and far between.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just want to go, let's give me my fucking award. Like, let's go party.
Yeah.
I you know what I mean? I'm really happy. I'm very proud that I got this award, but they don't flaunt it.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? And if you look at it, and I'm only saying this because I've never met him, right, as you know, but hopefully someday soon. Bobby Orr. Okay. The most humility out of somebody who had every right in the world to have an ego.
Yeah.
Right? And, he got his awards, and he would always seemed so calm, not you know what I mean, about receiving, and grateful and what have you.
Yeah.
And it's funny, and you see that throughout. Even Connor McDavid, who won one or two awards.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he dominates the game and everything like that, but he does it in a way that he's not rubbing it in their face. He's not doing a jig.
No.
He's not,
and his post-award presser was so well stated, I thought. When he said, "Look, if I'm not excited about this, and not respective of this, and all the rest of those things, 5-year-old Connor McDavid in me would have been pissed off."
That's right.
know? So it was. I thought he stated it very, very properly, considering he won, everything he was eligible to win, pretty much.
Well,
Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, just absolutely owned it, and it was great to see. Great to see. Deserved it all. It was a little hokey in spots. There were some great spots as well. You had a little bit of contention too. Your team, the Bruins, there, Linus Ullmark, who obviously won the Vezina. There's no choice. It's a regular season award. He won it going away. Kind of threw Bob Essenza under the bus a little bit, I thought. The goalie coach with his comments. So yeah, you had a few moments like that, but it wasn't like you were going to bed that night saying, thank God I watched it, but myself anyway. Erik Karlsson, as you and I just discussed before we went to air here. I think there was some thought process. Was he going to... By the way, McDavid wins the Hart, and some idiot voted him 5th.
Well,
but Pasternak won.
I think you have put the nail on the head there with some idiot.
Yeah.
Like, how can you have any clue? You don't even have to know hockey.
That's probably the number one contentious thing.
That
it's not even
that
really contentious.
That must have been an error.
No, well, they had Pasternak 1, and he had Connor 5. I can't remember who the guy had second. The speculation is that it's Jack Edwards, the play-by-play guy for Boston. I don't know if he has a vote, because the Hart is one of the many that is voted on by the Professional Hockey Writers Association, although some broadcasters are also eligible. But, they're not identified. Do you think the guys should be?
Absolutely.
I do too.
But it's, you know what? It was a Russian judge, right?
There you go.
I mean, you got to be, there is no reason at all that you can ever justify that Connor McDavid was not the greatest and most valuable hockey player in the NHL for last season.
So that guy should lose his right to vote.
Absolutely.
He should lose his right to vote.
So many people should lose their right to vote. Well, you know what? Most Canadians should lose their right to vote.
Yeah, because they don't vote.
They don't vote.
Yeah.
Or they vote because they like the way guys' fucking hair looks.
Yeah.
Or they have no clue of what the issues are. They have no clue of what they're doing, but they just vote because they think they're supposed to vote this way. If you don't know the friggin' issues, then don't vote.
If you're eligible for 2 elections and you don't vote, you should lose your...
Do you know what? When the first Evan, my son, right? When he turned 18 years old, he came upstairs. The first thing he said was, "I can vote." Now we're a proud Irish family, so we're very political.
Yeah.
If you're gonna vote, you're gonna vote.
Absolutely.
Right? You're gonna make.
I drilled that into my kids too.
And if you're gonna have a revolution, you might do that too.
Sure. In fact, every 100 years or so, it's not a bad idea.
It's not really bad. It's Anyway, but you get my point, right?
Yeah.
It's that important to have your say in whatever. Now, that being said, and I kind of went off the rails there, but if you don't know what you're talking about, you shouldn't be voting. You should have to pass a test to vote. And the same thing goes is if you're going to vote for who the most valuable player in the NHL is, you had better be able to justify your comments.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to say, let's take Connor McDavid out of the equation. He wasn't there, okay? So then you're thinking, okay, who are the other people involved? Then you could say, you could kind of make a case for everybody.
For sure.
This guy had this impact, this guy, but
Connor was unanimous except for 1 vote.
Yeah.
I mean, because everybody knows, because you'd assume that the writers who are the overwhelming majority of the voters for the Hart obviously have a semblance of an idea. And one guy probably realizing that his vote wasn't going to change anything.
Right.
However,
to make a protest vote.
Yeah, I suppose of sorts.
He voted for the Rhinoceros Party.
Yeah, yeah. You're a protest vote or look at me, Mom, and I'm the guy everyone's talking to. Whatever. Like it should be.
Yeah.
You're
right.
Losing is right. What if, in another instance, he is a decider? And these trophies are, at the end of the day.
I thought that George W. Bush was the decider, but I could be wrong.
Well, that was the state of Florida, wasn't it? Speaking of voting.
Well, no, but you are right. What if this guy is left to be the one to break the tie, and he's a goof?
And if he's sitting here right now, he's probably saying, "Hey, look, everyone knows Connor was gonna win in a walk. I just wanted to put a thing up for Pasternak." And it's like a couple of commentators said, and I agree. Okay, if that's the case, have Connor number 2. Then we all probably kind of laugh.
Right.
But when then you move Connor down to 5, then you're showing that it's something either personal
it's personal.
Yeah. So you've got something really against the fact that
now maybe he
for
knows
whatever
something.
reason.
Maybe he knows something about Connor McDavid that nobody knows.
Could be.
And he's like, Connor McDavid is actually spawn of Satan or something like
yes.
that, right?
Yes, he really
it could be
wants to change his number to 666.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Yeah,
who knows? Like I don't.
I don't know. But I mean, other than that, the show was. I watch it dutifully. In fact, I had the PVR it. Did not watch it live. So I kind of might have hit the fast forward button a couple of spots there.
Well, let me be honest. I'm not gonna lie in that I didn't watch more than 5 minutes of it.
Yeah. And
it's
not like you really missed anything.
Well, no, and then you know what? I said, screw that, and then I just got the highlights after, right?
Yeah.
And then I, caught up with it, and only because Carrie Underwood didn't call me back.
Yeah.
It was in Nashville, NHL thing.
And who
I'm
can
thinking
blame
her
her?
and Fish were going to be there.
Sorry. Yeah.
And I figured that maybe I could go over and hang out with her.
Yeah.
Damn. Actually, so here's a question for you: who do you find more attractive, Carrie Underwood or Shania Twain?
Oh, Carrie Underwood. But Shania is gorgeous as well.
Yeah,
She's gorgeous
Shania
as
Twain's
well.
mine. She's a
Northern Ontario girl, so
She
it's a
is.
girl after your own heart there.
Right.
I probably should really go with the Canadian girl, but Carrie Underwood is.
yeah, she's cute. But Shania Twain.
Yeah, she's cute.
Shania Twain. Man.
Well,
I feel like I want her.
Yeah.
And I say that happily married, but I'm pretty sure that my wife would be okay with it.
Well,
It'd be like, she would do it.
Yeah.
Like we have,
What's that
you
called,
have
the hall
thing.
pass, right?
That's right, the hall pass.
Yeah.
If Shania Twain, for some godforsaken reason, wanted to sleep with me, my wife would be okay with it.
Well-
actually, after 40 years, my wife and I together,
Yeah.
my wife's like, listen, if anybody has a desire to sleep with you, just go ahead.
Send
and
your-
so she's exactly. Yes. You know what? Your love could feed a young man. or an old
there you
man.
go. They're both gorgeous
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh,
That
absolutely.
carries
And you know what? And they can both sing.
Yeah.
They can
Both
sing.
Great singers.
And but yeah, anyways, for me, and to say it, Shania's closer to my age, and that's
Well,
probably
that's the
better,
other thing too. Yeah, she's
you
more
could-
closer to our snack bracket. Although
Yeah.
I'm still older.
Yeah, you are older. You're an old man.
I am an old man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Nobody knows his age, but I'm just going to tell you, there was a Beatles song,
yes,
and
when I'm
yeah,
that's me. Beniers, Calder. I thought it was a great choice. I mean, really, frankly, as I said, Carlson was the only one I was kind of wondering, would there possibly be? And then if you look at the voting, he actually won it pretty
yeah.
decisively.
Well, it was,
How do you
again,
you can't turn away 101
no,
points?
and you can't turn away a comeback like that.
Yeah.
That took him from, I mean, almost obscurity behind Brent Burns for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not getting the ice time, whatever. And we'll talk about injuries. We'll talk about all those things.
Yeah.
But his head wasn't in the game. Whatever it was.
Yeah.
But now he's back, and he's the Erik Karlsson of old.
Yeah.
And wiser. Right?
Well, yeah.
So the big question is now he wants to be traded. It's a
Yeah.
great segue.
Yes.
So where does he go?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, this is the thing is the question mark is how much is San Jose willing to pick up of his contract to make this deal happen? Because obviously they have to pick up a chunk of it. There's so many teams, Chris, that are right
So how
up
can
against the
There's
cap.
got to be a way. Like you know what I think
Well,
he's
you
going to
can
end up?
massage it in there
I
somewhere.
think he's going to end up in Toronto. I know that sounds crazy.
It does sound crazy because
but-
I don't know
'cause
where they're
they're
going to
gonna
find the money.
They're going to find some way to get him. Because here's the thing: if they get a guy who can move the puck like him and is an offensive force like him into that defensive core,
Well, in addition to Morgan Riley,
right?
who's already a stalwart. Now you throw Eric back there, who maybe is showing that there's a little bit of gas left in the tank.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, the signing the Leafs just made is just before I drove over here.
Oh, I didn't hear. What's
Yeah,
this?
They signed Tyler Bertuzzi.
Really?
The Leafs got Tyler Bertuzzi, so I don't know if we're going to morph into free agency or not, but I mean, this is a massive. Now, it's a 1-year deal. 1-year deal. So Tyler banking on himself, but what a pickup by the Leafs. This guy is an absolute stalwart. I mean,
And
it's
tough and gritty, and
he possesses all of the attributes that you need. And I mean, Boston got shocked in that first round, but I'll maintain to the cows come home it was goaltending that cost in that series. I don't care. Marchand missing the breakaway, losing in OT game 7, all the rest. It doesn't happen if Ullmark doesn't shit the bed. It's as simple as that. And then Montgomery, if he throws Swayman in earlier in the series, which is a hindsight look, but maybe who knows, mighta, coulda, woulda. The end of the day, Bertuzzi played great, and now he's going to Toronto. And if you look at the mass exodus of third and fourth line players on Toronto here in free agency, I think they lost 7 bodies from the roster. And you're punching in guys, and these aren't guys necessarily. I mean, a Kerfoot and a Bunting, whatever. They were secondary pieces to the regular season. At the end of the day, you beat a tired and beat up Tampa Bay in the first round. Yeah.
Did he? Oh, so where did he go?
I can't remember.
I didn't hear that he'd signed elsewhere.
Yeah, he's gone.
I
think
liked
there were
him.
7 guys, I believe, that in total, I think, off their roster from last year. Like San Jose, maybe, I'm not sure.
Now, was he a Boston College guy though? Wasn't he?
I don't know.
He was a U.S. University guy.
I think so.
he came out of that. But
I think so.
You know,
I'm not sure of that, but he, I thought he was a poor man's replacement for Hyman, who went to Edmonton, and I think they tried to do it by committee. I think because Hyman obviously was. I mean, they just got caught in a cap crunch, as we all know, and you and I and many others have discussed at length about the fact that cap never went up. Dubas got screwed because he had signed the core forward, all that money, and here we are. So. Now, with neither one of Marner or Matthews being moved on July 1st, and no moves have kicked in, so, the extensions are coming, you'd have to think at this
Do you
point.
think Tavares is going to be injured for the whole season?
I'll tell you.
Come back in the playoffs.
Hey, listen, why not? It's worked for numerous teams before, including the defending Stanley Cup champions, who just very, very innocently just sort of slid Mark Stone into the opening night lineup there in the playoffs. And we all know the story with Tampa, with Kucherov, and even going back to Chicago, and back even in the pre-cap days, Colorado, when you didn't have to do it. Forsberg didn't play a whole year and ended up lighting it up for them in the playoffs. So it's been done before, but however, in the cap era, it's really a rule that's now starting to well, not a rule. It's just you have the opportunity, as we know, to do it, and teams have been taking advantage of it. And there doesn't seem to be at this point an appetite to rescind it yet.
True. Now, so to that point, or kind of apropos to that, okay, we had talked about this before, but it came up again this week in that free agency. A lot of guys are not wanting to come to Canadian teams. It seems to be part of it is a tax issue. Part of it is and I say tax complication issue. But it's also being under the microscope of the Canadian people, the Canadian fans, versus being in Carolina or being somewhere where you are, not even a tertiary.
You walk on the
sport.
street, no one
knows. No one knows you. You can go to dinner with your wife, and all they say is like, "Who's the guy with the hot chick?"
Yeah.
Right. Instead of, there's, I don't know who.
Well, first of all, Bertuzzi just signed with Toronto, but I know he's not in that A+ category. But believe me, when you start putting together rosters to challenge to win a Stanley Cup, he's the type of guy that you would love to have. That's a major signing.
Now, is he Todd Bertuzzi's kid?
He's a nephew, I believe.
Nephew.
Yeah, he's a nephew of Todd.
And so I played hockey with Bertuzzi's up in Sudbury, right?
Yeah.
And that's where Todd's from, but that whole thing. And I can tell you, very good hockey players. Of
course.
But that same edgy, hard work, commitment to it, like real lunchbox kind of guys, right?
Yeah.
And so, I like that kind of player, and I like him. You know what I mean? And you always you tend to cheer for the betterment of somebody, coming out of stuff like that. It's just really hard that he's in Toronto.
Yeah, well, I mean, because so many of us have very hard feelings about the Toronto Maple Leafs, or we make fun of the fact that they're ineptitude.
Well, I really don't want them to win the cup. I can't. I don't know. I say this, and if you're a Toronto fan, but honestly, can you imagine how unbelievably you couldn't live with the Toronto fans if they win the cup.
They're still good. They still have issues on the back end. There's no doubt about it. As you said, Carlson would be a nice addition. There's just absolutely no way it can happen financially. I don't see any way they can do it. And but I'll give Treliving credit, man. Today he hit a splash. That's a splash for sure of day 2. Yesterday, record-setting, by the way, 166 signings, $650 million. So. In money, so it's and today Bertuzzi I think would have made 25-ish, and which is sort of par for the course in a day 2 scenario, but Sens did a good nice pickup, Korpisalo, the goaltender. Did they throw too much money?
I'm gonna stop you though, because we gotta not move into the whole.
Okay, yeah.
We're actually gonna have another episode all about free agency and where we see the league going and all that stuff. Right now, we're talking about. I want to bring up the there was this thing where these young fellas, okay, who want to play in the NHL, okay,
Yeah.
they go into this a bingo hall, okay,
Yeah.
and they crank this thing around, okay, and then they pick out who they're going to choose as their selection, okay, in that. And the number one selection in that bingo was given to the Chicago Blackhawks.
The amateur draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 And so they picked up a young kid, Bedard,
Yeah.
who seems to have some promise.
Listen, I like what they've done. They're insulating the guy already. I mean, you got to fill out a roster. They're going to
Yeah.
still suck this year, but I think there's so much anticipation of watching him when the preseason starts, and then of course when it starts for real. And I know he's got games both in Toronto and in Montreal in the first
Is that right?
first week or two of the season. So Hockey Night
He'll
in
be
Canada
watching,
is just going to blow this thing up to another
Yeah.
level with Connor Bedard playing in Canada. And no, I love it. I mean, Luke's there. I hope he can. I hope they give Luke an opportunity. Luke Richardson is the head coach in Chicago. Really, really good friend of mine, and Ottawa native, and I'm just thrilled that he's got a chance to start with Bedard. I love the fact they picked up Taylor Hall.
Yeah.
And they're making some moves to try and insulate Connor Bedard, and I like what they've done in the last 48 hours.
But now what they need, and he's not available, but they need a Lucic.
Yeah.
They need somebody.
He's
who's
gone back home.
I know.
Yeah.
But they need somebody who, a Dave Semenko. They need somebody who is going to make some room on the ice for Bedard, because now he's playing with men, right? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he doesn't have the skill set, but they
Yeah.
need somebody who's going to make, and also make sure that he has the freedom to be able to do that and not. I know I'm
Yeah.
old-fashioned, but I really think that that's what they need. They need a big guy. They need a Dave Andrechuk. They need and I'm not saying, but a guy like that who can throw the body around, who can make things happen, but also make room for that skilled.
He may not
player.
be the best example of that, but I understand where you're going.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Leafs just signed Ryan Reeves to a 3-year deal, which is ridiculous. And there's a reason why Ryan Reeves has bounced around like a piece on a checkerboard, because that era's gone. He's 36, by the way, 35 or 36. Signed him for 3 years. And he still is incredibly effective. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I love that in the game. And I hope it stays in the game through the rest of my lifetime. That being that you can fight and only accrue a 5-minute major.
Right.
Providing you haven't done anything else. So you're talking about guys to insulate Connor physically from some of the idiots out there that run around and take some liberties and things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's because, what?
Still needed. Still needed.
If you watch, I mean, even though he's getting older, okay? But when you watch Crosby play, he's got someone draped on him. The whole, and he has had people in his first few years. He was taking
Chris,
shots.
they had Reeves. They brought Reeves into Pittsburgh. They brought him in there, and when I went, and this is like 6 years ago. It was 20. Yeah, it was like 2016, 17. Like when they were winning the cups, or the year before. And Ryan's been around a while, eh? And look, I mean, he's been the de facto heavyweight champ of the league. Well, they had him in Pittsburgh. I said, oh man, this is it. This is Crosby's guy.
Yeah.
And he was in and out, man. Here's the thing today, Chris. It's what you need. If you got a guy who can handle all that, say like Ottawa's captain, like a Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah.
And Montreal brought in a rookie defenseman, Arbor Jackeye, last year, who until he blew his shoulder out in a fight, his 9th one, by the way, but he was leading all rookie defensemen in goals when he got hurt. And they've got an unbelievably deep rookie core in Montreal this year, but he has to be penciled into that roster. He made such an unbelievable impression. Why? Not just because he could punch your lights out, but
he could play.
He could play.
Yeah.
The guy was not an embarrassment. He made some woeful mistakes back there.
Hang on.
He does.
You're saying a rookie defenseman has made mistakes in the NHL?
I remember that one time.
Yeah. I mean that's the it's the baptism by fire when you get somebody of that, and they're going to make those mistakes, and you got to give them that. And we forget that guys never used to come directly into the NHL. right?
No, well, it was a 20-year-old draft for years. Like Denny Potvin probably could have played at 16 or 17. Had to wait till he was 20. And as you say, prior to the 06 era, you can count the guys like Bob Orr. The last year of the original six started at 18. He was another guy. Let's be honest.
There
a
are
phenom.
exceptions.
But the overwhelming majority, you're right. They had to get seasoned in the American Hockey League.
Yeah.
And they'd get a cup of coffee here, a cup of coffee there, get brought up. That's the way it was. And frankly, to be honest, it's probably cost more guys careers than the reverse. Because they've been rushed, or they've been put into a situation that they're not either physically or mentally or able prepared to play, because it is against men. Connor Bedard will find that out, but I do think he is the next one. I don't know if we'll see him put up McDavid type numbers, but I would not bet against this kid in under any scenario. Not only that, he's very fractious. He's like Crosby. He's gonna give as good as he takes. Ask Mark Mathod, who's missing a finger because of Crosby. I mean, you're gonna see scenarios where Connor Bedard will lash out, and I think you'll see collectively Chicago will defend him. Don't know right now who they got on the roster. I don't think they have necessarily anybody per se that could step up and be that guy. But don't
call back Crowder.
Yeah. What, Troy?
Yeah.
Well, I bet he's still in shape.
Wow.
If I had to bet, I bet you that there's a guy. I bet you he isn't more than 10 pounds over playing weight. But I did a few gigs with him. What a prince of a man. But I love Bedard going to Chicago. Yeah, I would have loved the Canadian team for sure, just because. But I mean, if it had to go to an American team, original six. Yeah. Being coached by an Ottawa guy. I mean, there's a fit there for a lot of reasons. Plus, they're trying to come out from underneath the scandal. You're moving on from Patrick Kane's gone. You're moving on here shortly from Taves.
But so speaking
Seabrook's gone. Everybody's gone.
Bedard it wasn't the last number one pick they have, or that Chicago had, Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's nice synergy in that sense, right? So he just moves on last year, as we know, to New York, and who knows what his future holds. And here comes Connor Bedard, the next one. So, that's how it started. They had 3 or 4 drafts in a row. Chicago were putrid for years after that run there to the
to the Cup, when they won the Cup.
Before that, under Mike Keenan, when they went to the final.
Okay, yeah.
And then, and they moved on from Mike. And that team in the late 90s, early 2000s, they hit the skids, much like LA did. Right. And then, they both benefited from great drafts. Chicago more than LA. LA was very shrewd in picking up some guys like Mike Richards, like Jeff Carter, and their draft paid off as well. They got some guys later. I mean, a guy like Dustin Brown, who became one of the all-time consummate playoff performers, and their captain and their emotional leader. What do they get out of it? They get 2 Stanley Cups out of it,
Yeah,
that's
not bad.
No, it's not bad, man. I mean, look, right now, getting one parade. I think that's all anybody's asking for. You have a little bit of a run here. Tampa, 3 finals, 2 cups. Pittsburgh just a few years before that, 2 cups. But before that, man, you had a run of just singular teams winning.
Just for the record, the only parade Toronto's getting is a rainbow parade. Just thought I'd mention that.
Okay.
But I think you should celebrate that parade. Did I ever tell you at the time I was in Toronto? I had no idea. I was young. I was a kid, right? And I was in Toronto. I was performing, okay? And it was like one of my first big weekends at Yuck Yucks in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm there, and I'm a few days early, and I'm sort of going downtown, and I didn't know the area at all, but I had this massive, crowds of people, and there's a guy on stage, and he's we got to tell people we're proud, and it was like almost like this time of year, right?
Yeah.
So I said, oh, it's like an early Canada Day thing. Okay, and we got to be proud we live in a country we can stand up for our beliefs. And everyone went, yeah, and I went, yeah, and we got to tell them we're gay. And I went, hang on a second. So here I am in the middle of the gay pride parade, not knowing a thing about this. God. I'm like, oh my God, I hope my parents don't see this on television. You know what I mean? And I'm not homophobic, but I was shocked at that moment. Okay, to be right in the middle, inadvertently in the middle of the gay pride parade in Toronto.
Wow.
And I turn around, there's a guy wearing a sock. That's it. He was just wearing a sock.
Okay.
On his thing. It was an enlightening experience. One of my first times in Toronto, and I thought, this is I'm a small town boy. I don't know. It was like a Journey song. It was a Journey song.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my my parade story in Toronto.
Well, the Leafs are always going to be sort of an NHL enigma. because they've had this run under Austin Matthews, who had such a spectacular year 2 years ago, 60 goals, Hart Trophy, Rocket Richard. That's the other trophy Connor won, right? I mean, he won 2 at the end of the regular season, and the Art Ross and the Rocket Richard, and then he wins the Hart and the Ted Lindsay. All well-deserved, all well-earned. So he walks away with 4 trophies. This 2 years ago was Austin Matthews, right? I mean, he was walking away, other than the Art Ross, but I mean, he was walking away with everything. And then I think he played at least 20% of the year hurt. But they're going to roll in the regular season again, Chris. You know it, and I know it.
Yeah.
It's all going to be about the playoffs. That's all it is. It's a dress rehearsal, just like last year was. Now they're going to roll back this core 4. Anyway, you didn't know about it. I didn't think you would have heard about the Bertuzzi signing.
Yeah, I know.
I literally just read it before I walked out the door as we tape this here. And it's a fabulous pickup for Toronto. So, Chicago, they'll insulate Connor. You don't need what you needed before. You don't need those guys. Like I said, Jack-Eye was a breath of fresh air in Montreal, and he quickly became a fan favorite, and his backstory is outstanding. By the way, the Habs drafted his brother.
Oh, okay.
If you saw that or not?
No, I did.
They drafted his brother in the 4th round.
I was looking to now changing the subject to the Ottawa picks.
Yeah.
Like we didn't pick till the 4th round.
Right.
Okay. By that time,
Hoyt.
Well, wasn't his father a guitarist from Nashville?
I don't know.
It was Hoyt Axton. It was a different guy. So yeah, I don't know that there's anything in what we have selected in the I don't know that there's anything that is going to stick with the club in any long term at all.
Well, there's no projections on anybody that's taken really beyond like a 3rd round. You're not saying hardly ever in a 3rd round with 32 teams.
It's a 4th round.
They got a 4th round guy, but I'm saying even once you get beyond the 3rd,
right?
And how many picks they had after that. Like you want to talk about I don't watch the draft right through to the end. It's just the 1st round I watched. It was very interesting to see. Everyone knew Bedard. Very surprised to see Carlson move up to 2. Well, not very surprised, but Fantilli seemed to be the odds-on favorite all season. He goes to 3, and he's already signed his entry level with Columbus, so he's coming out of U of M. And the only really other one, Chris, really was Mitchkov slid to 7th. I mean, the top 5, depending on whichever scouting report you wanted to follow, after Bedard and Fantilli went to 3, was in any given order was going to be Carlson, Smith, and the Russian Mitchov. I ever say it. And Mitchov goes to 7. Arizona takes another Russian at 6. So like Benson and Leonard went later. And then Montreal threw a fly in the ointment by taking the Austrian right-hand shooting D guy.
Yeah.
Reinbacher.
Reinbacher.
Which Carey Price couldn't remember his name.
I know. Well, you know
Poor
what?
Bastard.
Give it to that. So what?
Just had a brain cramp.
I know.
That's all it was.
A question for you though. So rumor has it that Carey Price might come back. Have you heard those rumors?
Come back to what?
To play.
No, he's done.
You think? Okay.
He's done. He's 100% done. He'll never play again. He's got 4 years to go, I believe it is. At 10-5, he's going to collect it, watch his family grow, and who knows, maybe get into something else in the hockey business.
So can they? But he's
done as a player.
But he's a cap hit.
He's on long-term injury reserve, so you can use the money.
Okay. So let me ask you this, and I'm just going to throw these questions because.
Habs are right up against the cap, by the way. Habs are up against it. Calgary's up against it. Winnipeg has about $4 million. Ottawa has money. They have $8 or $9 million.
They have space. They don't have money.
Yeah, they have space. Well, they may have money now.
They may have money. Listen.
They're saying September, eh?
Yeah, well, they're saying.
Yeah.
You know what?
But he is
it ain't over until it's over.
I know, but they're saying he's confirmed, and the consortium with Jeff York and whatnot is allegedly confirmed.
Well, you know what? That would be a good thing because at the end of the day, there's nothing better than going to the game and having fresh produce from Farm Boy available to you. Have you had their salsa?
That's good.
Okay.
Good.
We got it. We got to
say
goodbye.
Me some Farm Boy.
You know what? We do love it. Yes. I was going to digress and tell another story. I'm not going to tell another story. This has been Offside with Hawes and McGuire. I'm Hawes.
I'm McGuire.
Thanks for watching.